Hi, thanks for joining today. This is Dan at Qualer. I wanted to show you the capabilities of our software to see if it'd be a good fit for your organization. This is our company dashboard. This is the first page you land on as you go to your portal. This is a fictitious asset owner company. We've named Life Sciences Incorporated, and we see they have a number of different sites within their organization. The dashboard is designed to give you a one-page overview of your entire organization. We break down each individual site, or just as well, we could break these down by departments within your organization if you just have one headquarter. For each different location or each different department, you always know exactly what's going on. We show you the assets that are due, past due, they have a warranty expiring, or they're due for replacement, and then the work orders that have been generated out of each location. Those that are waiting for approval, open, delayed, or neglected, unpaid, or simply waiting for sign-off. And then what we do is we take each of these different locations and roll them up to give you a glimpse into the overall health of your organization as a whole. We want you to always know exactly what's going on, and Qualer provides through our dashboard one page to allow for that. To the right is your toolbox. This is where you can register a new asset, you can create a new maintenance plan, what we'll do today, which is make a service request, or as you bring on new vendors, you can add vendors that you're currently working with. Also front and center on your dashboard is the reports tab. Qualer is able to report on any data set within your portal. So you can have access to any data set imaginable. During implementation, we work closely with you to pull in the reports that you'll be using on a day-to-day basis and make those easily available with one click of a button as you're making critical business decisions within your lab. Back to the reports tab. Across the top, we have different business segments, and these are completely configurable for you. Any way you'd like access to your information, we can set it up so you have easy pools of assets that you can populate. You can also search by different sites. Across the top, you have a few different tabs of information. First, let's start with the Assets tab. This houses your asset manager, your maintenance plans, your service requests that you've made. You're able to manage your vendors, and you can also look back on the vendor quotes and agreements that you have with each of your service providers. The Asset Manager tab populates all the assets you have within your organization. We have 814 total assets, and we have a rich product profile for each of them. We're also getting information on each of these assets. We know those that are past due, due for service, have service scheduled, have recently been serviced, also asset life cycle information, as well as orphaned assets within our organization. We can select any of these assets from our pool and immediately get information to round out our view of the needs and information for it. Looking at this Eppendorf pipette, we can see the serial number, where it's located. We can distinguish that it's GMP regulated. We can assign a custodian, and then we can click into each of these to get a more comprehensive glimpse. It starts with the Info tab. We house the identification, its classification, where it's located. We can be as specific as the bench it's located at. We pull in the life cycle information of the asset. Any maintenance plan it's attached to will be visible. And then if it's part of a warranty, we can populate the warranty information for the asset. We want this profile to serve as the source of truth for each and every one of your assets. We work with you to pull in the information that you have for the asset, And then any gaps, we work closely with the manufacturers to pull in that information. An example of that is the Info tab. We want your technicians and the internal and external stakeholders that you work closely with to not have to jump between systems anymore. We want all of the information on this asset to be housed within Qualer, so you don't have to pick up the phone, you don't have to email a representative. You can get information that you need easily with Qualer. For an example, we have the maintenance instructions and the user manuals immediately available for this asset. And then we can look into each of these tabs for further information. The maintenance plan shows the 6-month pipette calibration as part of. The life cycle information on this asset is going to show us the lifespan, our initial purchase cost, and the cumulative service cost having maintained this asset. What this is showing us is, with a straight line depreciation model, that this asset needs to be retired. We know that because this gray line here represents all the Eppendorf pipettes that we have within our organization and averages how they're performing and their associated service costs. And so we can see this particular asset is an outlier and it's costing us money. So we would want to retire this asset immediately. Probably most important within the asset profile is the history tab. This is great for audit readiness and being prepared for both internal and external teams who will be auditing your organization. Every time service is done on this asset, whether it be internal or through an external partner, a service record is kept in Qualer. And so you can look back on any service event, for instance, the event that occurred on June 28th. We can select this preventive maintenance, see when the work was done, see who did it, get the results of our test and any notes that were provided. We can review how much the event cost us. And then most importantly, any calibration certificate, whether it be an unaccredited or accredited calibration, any preventive maintenance report, any estimate or invoice, it's all going to automatically be appended directly to this asset. And these are never deleted by Qualer. You'll always have access to your asset service record. It's important to note that not only active assets will show you this information. You're able to retire assets in Qualer and their service histories never disappear. We understand that you may need to bring that back into your rotation. And so the service histories are always visible to you and your internal teams to make sure you have the information you need. Now, how do we schedule service with this asset? If this asset needed service through an external provider, we would select the asset. We would make a service request. And then we're going to, in a very intuitive way, follow the prompts across the top through to completion. It's important to note that we're doing a one-off repair. If this were part of a maintenance plan and a scheduled interval, much of this would be automated for us in sending this to the appropriate stakeholder to complete the work. We see the one asset on this service request. We select next. We now get to see the details of it. It's automatically populating the service that will be completed based on the maintenance plan it's attached to. So we're sending this to Adamir Calibration, our external service provider. We're having an accredited calibration done for $55. That's part of our quotes and agreements that we have stored in Qualer. And then part of our maintenance plan is we always have the O-ring replaced. And that's at a cost of $8.25 that we've negotiated with Adamir Calibration. So that's going to be included for an estimated total of $63.25. If we wanted to add additional parts, this is going to intelligently populate the parts that are available for this specific asset. Next, we'll choose the logistics of our order. Since this asset just broke down on us, we're going to request that the work be done urgently. If this were part of a scheduled maintenance plan, we could give them a specified date and time or a range to complete the work. We'll select now, and we'll have them come on site to do the work. I'm going to give them a note to ask for me and to enter through the west entrance. This is going to go directly to our service provider when they accept this request. I could also provide the business hours I'd like them to show up. If we wanted to send this to the provider, Qualer is able to accommodate that for you. We integrate directly with FedEx and UPS, so you would enter your shipping information and this would be able to be sent off. We can also facilitate local pickup with your vendor. The next step before we review and submit is our billing information. This is automatically going to populate for us the open PO that we have with Admir Calibration. But if we wanted to pay with credit card, we could, or other electronic payment, we'd be able to do so as well on Qualer. Finally, we review this order. We can add any additional notes that we'd like to go to our provider. We're going to check that this was decontaminated and then submit our service order. This is part of our internal workflow that we've established for security within Qualer. This is completely optional, but I've elected to have this submission be confirmed. And now we see that work order 1597 was successfully submitted. This is going to kick now to management approval, where if we wanted to set up management approval as we have in this example, the manager or department head would get a notification that this needs sign off. They could review the full details of this work order. They see the full history of it to date. Now they're comfortable with approving this and sending it directly to our service provider. Qualer, as part of our ecosystem, is always going to let you know where this asset is each step of the way. So we know this was sent to the vendor, and if for any reason we needed to retract this order or cancel this order, we could also do that. Qualer also enables you to send email communications and upload any documentation that you'd like to include as you send these assets to the various service providers you're working with, both internal and external. And that completes scheduling a work order through Qualer. Now, to look at some additional capabilities of what Qualer offers, we'll go back to the Assets tab. Within the Assets tab, we have the Asset Manager, the Maintenance Plans, Service Requests. We're able to manage our vendors, and we can view the quotes and agreements we have in place. Each asset within Qualer is part of a maintenance plan. And so we can have any variation of maintenance plan and any combination of internal and external stakeholders completing the work imaginable. Any maintenance plan, from the simple 6-month calibration to a little more complex alternating verification and calibration plan, can be handled through Qualer. I've chosen this because it's a little more complex and shows the capabilities of how we can help facilitate service events for your organization. This is the alternating verification calibration that we do at the end of the month for 128 assets. This is a live link and could populate those 128 assets that are part of this maintenance plan. Under this maintenance plan, we see it starts every 6 months with a calibration being done by Admir Calibration. It's an unaccredited calibration that we're having done, and they're calibrating these as a set. Next, 7 days after the calibration, there's a unit check being done. And this is being done by our internal lab maintenance team. We've made a note to make sure they follow our SOP 3025.2 when they're completing this unit check. Every 4 months, our internal team is doing preventive maintenance. And then as needed, we're doing an out of tolerance review through our quality assurance department for anything needing the review. We can click into each of these and we see it's as simple as naming the task, setting the interval, making it contingent on a pass or a fail, and then assigning any advanced recall period or past due grace period you would like. You're also able to add instructions. In this example, we're generating the work order automatically, and we've assigned the appropriate contact who will receive the notification as this comes due. We can also request order approval upon generation, and we can generate separate work orders for each assigned assets if we'd like. You saw on our overview the general instructions that we provided, as well as the proper SOPs to follow. And so we want that to be readily available to both your internal teams and the external service providers you're working with. And so that's front and center. And then lastly, the service provider for this specific work being done is assigned. If we wanted to select a new service provider, it's as simple as selecting the provider. We'll choose an external vendor, and then we can choose from the list of vendors that have listed that this is within their abilities. Lastly, I'd like to point out the administration tab. The administration tab is where we can show all the different employees and select the events and notifications that they've elected to receive. Qualer allows for the controlled, managed exchange of information in a very secure way. And that's done through a couple of different channels. First is the security role that's assigned. Qualer can assign security roles from read-only permissions all the way through to a full system administrator with advanced capabilities and access. We want the internal and external teams you work with to only have access to the information that you want them to have access to. So security is at the forefront within Qualer, and we give you the tools to limit the information that different parties can access. And the second part of that is our events and notifications tab. This is where we ensure each stakeholder within your organization is only getting access to the information that matters to them. We don't want folks within your organization to be bombarded by information that doesn't pertain to their day-to-day activities. And so the events and notifications tab limits the information that's visible to them so they can focus on what matters most to their responsibility and their role within your organization. Setting these events and notifications is as simple as choosing the event type. In this example, when an asset is past due, I've elected to get an email notification as well as an SMS text message notification to my company cell phone. We can do any combination we would like, and we can set the first, second, and third notifications that we will receive. My first notification is done at occurrence. We can see how we can tailor these attempts. My second notification is 1 day after, and then my third and final notification is 2 days after the asset is past due. I also get access to what's ahead through my employee dashboard. Every employee within your organization can have their own tailored dashboard, and this lets me know what work is ahead and I can keep the appropriate stakeholders who have requested this in the loop as I complete this work through our status updates. Thank you.